Hey everybody, and welcome to the first Backseat Sports podcast.
Woo!
Hopefully the first of many and many
Woo!
and many to come. Like this is going to be a steadfast, concrete staple of the channel in the future. Here we're hoping to have a very awesome podcast.
We
really
are like a geyser.
Great podcast.
We are all
Yeah.
reliable with this podcast.
It's going to be a go on. We're going to be covering a lot of topics today. It's going to be mostly covering Big Ten sports, Big Ten football specifically. Today we're going to be doing Big Ten predictions, talking a little bit about Urban Meyer, and then we're going to do a little bit of like a random question of the week type of thing each week with the podcast, where we're going to do some type of random topic. It can literally vary every single week. It should be a lot of fun, usually based around fun, interesting topics. So that's what we're going to do. The first Big Ten predictions, we're going to go East and West to kind of talk about just the Big Ten in general, and then basically talk about the Big Ten championship and go from there. So, I don't care. What do you think? Who do you think are going to be the best two teams in the Big Ten? One from the East, one from the West.
That's a tough question. Will Michigan actually get it done this year? I don't think so. Sadly, I think it's going to be Ohio State, as it has been.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be Ohio State. I think Penn State's going to take a step back.
From the East, you're saying, right?
Yeah, this is the East. I think they're going to take a step back from what they had done last season.
Yeah.
I think Michigan's going to do better than they did last season, and it's going to be a close game. But it's at Ohio State this year for the
Right.
So
I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, Ohio State they're only bringing back 12 starters. So, I mean, they have some interesting questions across the board, especially defensively, where they only brought back 5. And, I mean, of course, the QB situation is a little interesting as well. So, we don't really know who's going to be taken. We don't really know how well the QBs are going to be playing, like what's going to be happening there. So
I think Ohio State fans are happy that JT Barrett's out of there, honestly.
It seemed like it from, I mean, I live in Ohio, and it seemed like it. It definitely seemed like a lot of Ohio State fans were pretty happy that JT Barrett was out of town. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what Ohio State can do this year, because they definitely could be the best team in the country. But
I mean,
because of the whole Urban thing, I mean, him missing the first 3 games, who knows? I mean, something crazy could happen early on in the season.
I mean, it's not unlike, Mike Krzyzewski, when he left coaching, it was a couple years ago when he had to do surgery and he had a hiatus. He bags 5-star recruits every year, but when you're not allowed to really like be with the team for a few weeks, like, you have a specific system, and even if you have all the talent in the world, if your coaches don't exactly know how to use you, because obviously Urban Meyer is Urban Meyer. He is ridiculously good at coaching, just in the same way Mike Krzyzewski is.
That third game, though, with TCU could be really interesting.
Oh, that's
not
true. I think they might be a Final Four team. So,
I mean, they're preseason ranked 16th. It's an interesting one, but we're talking about the Big Ten.
Okay, but yeah,
how do you feel about Ohio State?
I think you're right. I think they do drop a game. Now,
I think they're going to lose to TCU.
I think they're going to lose to TCU. You've talked me into it. They're going to lose to TCU.
I really wasn't trying to talk you into it, but it is in TCU, so.
Yeah, I think that TCU is going to win that game. And like I said, all the talent in the world, and without him, and if he's really not going to be able to contact his team for 3 weeks, no conversation, no plans.
So what do you think does that take away from your opinion of Ohio State on the season, though? Because,
no.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're still going to be the best team in the Big Ten, more than likely.
They lost last year to Oklahoma at the beginning of the season. Last year, so
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be the same situation. They drop a game early to a really good team. They're obviously going to still definitely be in a very great position to go to the Final Four this year. They have.
I mean, who do you think is going to be better, Michigan State, or Penn State?
I'd say Penn State's the lowest of the 3 for me.
Really?
Just without Saquon. I mean, I believe in Franklin and what he's doing, but yeah, I think they're the lowest of those, Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan State is really interesting team for me, because we do know they're returning the most guys in the country. D'Antoni's a good coach.
They're returning 19.
But I don't know. I don't think Harbaugh has a ton of pressure on him this year, and Michigan fans are literally calling for him to be fired, which is insane. Because
I don't know. I think it seems like a somewhat of a minority of Michigan fans are pretty skeptical. I think a majority of Michigan fans still believe in him, and I believe in Shea Patterson as a quarterback. So we'll see. I personally, Patterson's going to be a huge upgrade over Wilton Spate.
That's what, yeah.
And that just alone in itself, that could be the difference, and the fact that they're returning 17 starters, that defense is going to be really good.
I mean, their defense.
I mean, they were good last year, and they really, I think they're going to be probably the best defense in the Big Ten.
I don't know.
Probably certainly the Big Ten. I could see the team as one of the best defenses in the country.
Do you think they're going to be better than Wisconsin?
No, yeah, 'cause I think Wisconsin's lost enough pieces on defense.
Yeah, they're going to be like
not going to be elite anymore.
23 in the country.
They're only returning 4 defensive starters, so their linebacking core is still unbelievable, though. But at the end of the day, because they got T.J. Edwards and Connolly, and Connolly was the leading tackler last year, and Edwards was probably their best player. So I don't know. Wisconsin, again, we'll talk about the West in a second, but with the East, I think Penn State's probably the best team out of those 3, about Michigan and Michigan State. But it's really close, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of those 3 teams are better than any of the others. Really.
Yeah, no, I think Michigan is going to be the best team. I mean, everybody is super hyped. They only like I said, they only dropped 2 guys. They really like they did lose Mike McCray, who was really good last year for them. But yeah, I mean, man. And Don Brown has been an impressive coach, a really impressive coordinator for them.
I don't know. They got a pretty tough slate of games though. They start at Notre Dame. I mean, that's no easy feat. And then 4th game's against Nebraska, at Northwestern, at Michigan State later on, Wisconsin at home, Penn State at home, at Ohio State at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean
that is not an easy slate there.
No, but their front 4 is supposed to be super dirty with apparently they have this kid Rashawn Gary who's projected a top 5 pick in the draft at defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I think Michigan's defense is going to be nasty. It's going to come down to how efficient their offense can be with the new quarterback and a lot of moving pieces. So
yeah, exactly. I'd say, I don't know. Ohio State and Michigan are both interesting. I think that's the 2 horses in my side for the East. And
Michigan State to me is really interesting. Because again, that defense could be really, really good. They're returning 19 starters, 10 on offense.
And they do. I mean, they have the secret sauce against Michigan right now. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever the mojo is, whatever ritual they have, it's been working against Michigan.
Right.
But honestly, I think once Harbaugh kind of breaks through against Michigan State, I think it's just never going to be the same, if that makes sense. I think once.
Yeah, I don't know.
Once that monkey's off his back, I think it's going to be pretty.
Michigan was just so efficient last year defensively. They were so good. I could see that their defense being literally the best in the country. One of the best, at least, for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, their offense, I think, it's going to take a step up this year. It's really interesting between Ohio State and Michigan. I think if Ohio State, we'll see how those first 3 games go. If Ohio State's looking really shaky, and if the inside tumult of the turmoil of what's happening inside that locker room, is something, and there's whispers of Urban getting fired, and there's just tons of off the field stuff. And as we know, Ohio State has, kids going in and out, and if there's lineup shakes and stuff like that with the new coaches or whatnot, and other kids are playing. When you have
Ohio State could be vulnerable.
Yeah, when you have 5-star talent like that, and some of them don't take the field, they're gonna feel pretty entitled and stuff. That locker room has to be a ton to manage. And with Urban Meyer not there for 3 weeks and 3 games, and if they drop a game, it could be.
But at the same time, if they believe in Urban Meyer, which I'm sure they do, they could just come out and play with another fire, fighting for Urban Meyer. I don't know. We'll see. In my mind, Ohio State's the clear number 1, and then Michigan, Penn State, and Michigan State are all really close. Yeah, and it could be a carousel where they all kind of beat each other.
Get that one situation in where it's going to come to a crazy tiebreaker.
It could literally come down to a crazy tiebreaker with 3 10-win teams or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think it's far and away Michigan, Ohio State. But then on the west side.
Yeah, but back to the West. It's interesting. after Wisconsin. To me, Wisconsin's the clear-cut favorite.
I think,
as
I
you
think
all know,
it's
we
just
are from
interesting
Nebraska.
in general.
But
I think it is an interesting race in general.
after Wisconsin, it's interesting.
No, it's
Wisconsin is a clear-cut favorite.
okay. Favorite,
And
sure.
In our
Favorite,
recent video, if you guys haven't seen it, we talked about Nebraska's schedule, and we did talk about a lot of time on Wisconsin, where we have a little bit differing opinions, especially on Wisconsin and Iowa. I think Wisconsin is a fantastic team. That offense is going to be absolutely insane. With Jonathan Taylor coming back in their whole offensive line.
I think yes, their run game is going to be extremely solid. I would not be surprised if their, just yards per rush are extremely high in the country. Like I don't expect, but you still have to keep an offense honest if you can load the box. That's the thing.
I don't know. I mean, last year, Wisconsin, everyone knew Wisconsin was going to run the ball literally every game. Everyone knew it. Hornibrook was not good. He was one of the worst third down passers in the conference, and everyone knew Wisconsin was going to run the ball on first and second down, and they still won. They won literally the whole regular season. They went undefeated. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not saying they're anything short of extremely good, but their defense has lost some momentum, and a lot of those games weren't high scoring games for Wisconsin. They weren't blowing you out even with their really good run. So if their defense takes a step back and more teams are going to be able to score more points against them, moving the ball was not their giant strength. They had really great rushing attack. And they lost their number one wide receiver this year. That's not to be forgotten too. The number one guy on the depth chart, because of the sexual assault case, he had to step away to fight the case. So
yeah, but from what I was seeing, that nobody was too worried about that. They're pretty confident in their receiving core. How I see it, they are going to dominate on first and second down. It'll come down to third down efficiency from Hornibrook. I expect him to take a little bit of a step forward at least, and I don't think the receiving core is any worse than it was last year. So I think they're going to have a significantly improved running game with Hornibrook improving. The offense is going to be even better, and their defense obviously will be slightly worse, but I see no reason why they're not going to win at least 10 games.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, their schedule is just too easy.
I don't know. Like I said, I think it'll be.
I mean, who do you have them losing to? They play Western Kentucky, win. New Mexico, win. BYU, win. At Iowa, you don't think highly of Iowa, so then you have Nebraska. You're high on Nebraska, but
like I said, I think they're gonna lose to Nebraska.
You like our chances apparently there, but I don't know. I don't. And then they play at Michigan. That's definitely a trap game for them. I mean, that's a tough game. And then they play at Penn State later in the year. So those are the two toughest games: at Michigan, at Penn State. It could come down to the carousel of Big Ten teams.
I think that Penn State will beat them. I'm guessing that could be the Penn State whiteout game, especially if Wisconsin.
You think?
Yeah, it's later in the season, right?
Yeah,
and it's especially.
But they play with Penn State plays Michigan and Wisconsin back-to-back weeks at Michigan, then home against Penn State. So
if that one's the whiteout game, whoever's going to be higher ranked, but
man, Penn State plays Ohio State at home, Michigan State at home, and Wisconsin at home.
Yeah, their fans they don't sell it like crazy, except for the whiteout game, which is always one of the most. That's one of the most.
I think you're underestimating Penn State fans.
No, I mean I'm not saying they don't have a giant fan base, but I'm just saying the whiteout game's crazy. So if Wisconsin got the whiteout poll, then which I think
it'll either be
plausible.
Michigan State or Wisconsin probably, because usually they do it later in the year, right? So would it be against Ohio State in September?
No, it's not. They always put it to the later in the year.
October they play Michigan State, and then in November
it's in November, and they choose obviously. So
it's either gonna be one of those two games, I think. But yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be really interesting. Really interesting. How I see it, Wisconsin, they for sure are going 10-2. I don't see a world where they don't go 10-2. And they'll beat either Michigan or Penn State. Then maybe they get upset somewhere. But they're not going to lose both Michigan and Penn State in my mind, and they're going to. So I mean, I think they go 10-2, but they could easily go 11-1.
I mean, yeah, I think they'll go. It's definitely an 11-1, 9-3 bottom, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
But then I think
they're not going below 9-3.
After that,
that's for sure.
After that, who do you think? That's a big thing.
Right. After that, it's a completely open Big Ten West. Like, it could be literally any of the teams, basically.
Except for
maybe
Illinois.
Besides Illinois.
Yeah.
Purdue looks even decent this year.
People are high on Purdue, which I think is kind of laughable.
Yeah.
But
Right. But
yeah,
I'll be honest, I haven't done enough research on Purdue to have a good opinion. But
they're having a crazy recruiting
Iowa,
class right now. I do know that.
Yeah,
they're like
which
16th in the
seems
top.
sketchy.
Yeah, it's anytime you see a team that has been perennially sucky with like a top 15 recruiting class.
Yeah,
that's a giant.
Like Ole Miss, like a few years ago before they got good.
Yeah,
they had like two straight like top 10 recruiting classes.
They had 5-star recruits and like they had.
And then everybody finds out that they were paying their players. Crazy.
Yeah. So
who would have thought?
Yeah, they haven't seen a good team since like Drew Brees. So, and Drew Brees is going to retire from the NFL here shortly. So
yeah,
that's
okay. Who's your number 2 team? Is it Nebraska?
Yeah, it's Nebraska. Nebraska.
See, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't hate that at all. Obviously, I think Nebraska can go 8-4. I think they're going to either 8-4 or 7-5. Do I think Minnesota's going to go 7-5? No. Is Northwestern going to go 7-5? Probably not. Iowa definitely can. So, in my mind, it's either Iowa or Nebraska, and it could literally come down to the final game of the year where both teams are 7-4 going into that final game. So, I'm going to pick Nebraska at number 2, Iowa at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go Wisconsin, Nebraska. Then I'm going to take Northwestern.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to take Northwestern. Then
you don't seem very scared of the Nebraska-Northwestern game, though, for Nebraska.
No, I don't. Because there is a giant talent gap. There's just a big talent gap. I mean, Nebraska has the most talent out of anybody in the Big Ten West.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are really scared of that Nebraska-Purdue game, to be honest. People think Purdue could come in and we could lose because
I think that is
because the next week we're playing against Wisconsin. Some people are saying we'd overlook Purdue and lose to them.
I don't think with how the team is set up, I don't think we're gonna.
I mean, I believe it. Yeah, I don't believe it either. I think Scott Frost will make sure the team's prepared for a game like that. But
day by day, right? So they're gonna be fully focused.
Yeah. Day by day, we get better and better. Let's hope.
Yeah. So,
but no, I think it's a fairly clear cut Big Ten West. Like when in that situation where I think Wisconsin's far and ahead the best team, in my mind.
And not in my mind. But Wisconsin is clearly in the top 2.
I am very low on Minnesota this year. I don't know. People think PJ Fleck's going to turn it around, but
I don't believe in rowing.
I'm very low on Minnesota.
Their talent pool is just so bad. They just get nobody. They're
I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but I just think based off of their efficiency last year and their numbers were it was not good, and I just don't see the improvement that they're going to need to make another step in the Big Ten West. I don't know. Yeah. I'm like I said, not high on Minnesota.
I don't think we're going to lose. I don't think they're going to score 60 points on us ever again.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so who do you have winning the Big Ten West? Who's going to win it?
Nebraska.
Wisconsin? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're a homer.
I am.
Guys, we have a homer on the other side of the mic here.
I'm usually so realistic, but I am realistic. I honestly think this is what's going to happen. I honestly believe we're going to win the Big Ten West. It's going to come down to tiebreaker. We're both going to go 10-2, and
I mean, oh my word. I think even if we beat Wisconsin, Wisconsin then goes 11-1, and we somehow it's going to be a situation where we go 9-3 with a win against Wisconsin, and then Wisconsin only loses 2 games and we still don't make it. I mean, literally, that's what would happen if we even beat Wisconsin.
I don't think so. I think.
Well, yeah, maybe not, because you're right. If we beat Wisconsin, maybe that means Wisconsin's not that good.
If we beat Wisconsin, what?
That means if we beat Wisconsin, that means Wisconsin's not that good.
No, that's not
You're
true.
right.
That's not true. I'm just saying.
That's so true.
I'm just saying our offense is that good. At the end of the day,
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Yes.
That's not how I see it, obviously. But, okay, so in your situation, Nebraska plays Ohio State in the Big Ten championship.
I don't know. It might be.
Right?
I don't know. It might be Michigan.
Okay, who are you picking?
This is tough. I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna say Michigan does it this year.
10-2 with a tiebreaker?
Yeah. I say.
Man, that is a tough schedule for Michigan to overcome to go 10-2.
I know. I don't know. I think Michigan. Gosh, I don't know. It's always the tough pick. And Michigan hasn't done it yet. And Michigan hasn't done it yet, but Ohio State has. But no.
Yeah, exactly.
I really think that 10-2. That's what's gonna happen. I don't know. It's a tough because again, like I said,
it's very obvious.
Like I said, Ohio State.
Ohio State.
It's in Ohio State the game. So
exactly.
So I mean,
it's gonna be Ohio State.
So then I guess it's Ohio State, but I think it'll be Ohio State. But I'm not sold.
So in your
not
game,
sold.
Nebraska versus Ohio State, how's it go? Just real quick here because we need to move on here.
Okay. Real quick, Nebraska loses.
By a lot.
Not, but we show up to play well, and it's a good game.
Would you say we just kind of get choked out in the second half? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, they'll just prove to be too much. Like maybe it'll be a close half,
like 17 points or something.
At the end, it's just gonna be
okay. I think it's gonna be Michigan versus Ohio State. Ohio State wins it fairly close. It's gonna be. I feel like it's a fairly basic Big Ten prediction, but I think that's exactly what the most obvious outcome is of the Big Ten. So
yeah,
Ohio State versus Wisconsin playing in Indianapolis. Ohio State comes out on top. Pretty close game. I think that's pretty straightforward. But okay, we're gonna move on though because we need to talk about the Urban Meyer situation here.
Oh boy, the juicy.
Because there is a lot to cover about Urban Meyer and Ohio State and just the whole situation in general. It was the biggest news of probably the offseason, really.
100%.
What was
going to
happen? It was the biggest story of the offseason. What was going to happen with Ohio State? What was going to happen with Urban Meyer? And man, there was a lot to talk about. So what do you got? I mean, right off the bat, what are your impressions of the 3-game suspension and the whole situation in general?
All right. Well, everybody probably knows, but let's just as a quick summary, what we have happen is just right before Big Ten Media Days comes a report of 2015. So there was a restraining order between the wide receiver coach Smith
and his ex-wife.
Yeah. What was his first name?
Zach Smith.
Zach. Yes, and Courtney Smith. Yes.
Yep.
So there was.
And so he broke the restraining order.
Yes, he broke the
restraining order was from a 2015 domestic violence case.
Yes.
Which, because of the restraining order, people started looking up again. On Big Ten Media Day, Urban Meyer was asked about it, and he said, "Oh, I know nothing about that." Blah blah blah. Blew it off. Then a few days later, out comes a report from an ex-ESPN reporter that, Urban Meyer definitely could have / should have known about this, and he did an interview with Zach Smith's ex-wife, and she had text messages from Urban Meyer's wife and many other staff members' wives. Yeah.
And then what happened is
text messages.
And then Urban Meyer said that after this, said that he reported this case to the administrative department.
Yeah, so he admittedly lied about it on Big Ten Media Day.
Yes, and then said, but I reported it to my superiors, and they didn't do anything.
Basically, is what he was saying. Yeah, he deflected the blame a little bit, and then we found out about the reports that Zach Smith had been sending, toys to the Ohio State offices,
and that he had also been
nudes in the White House,
and also doing extracurricular activities with staff members.
Yes. And people were. That was fairly well confirmed that actually was true.
And that all happened in Ohio State. I mean,
under Urban Meyer.
As unprofessional as it gets, and he doesn't get fired. And so if he wasn't getting fired for all that, then, it's not a hard conjecture to piece together what he probably the horrific things that he did for his wife for a decade.
It's tough to assume. It's one of the toughest situations.
Yeah.
And
obviously,
you do have to explain Urban Meyer's situation here a little bit, where Urban Meyer, this guy, Zach Smith, is the grandson of Urban Meyer's, like, coaching mentor, his godfather. And so he really respects this guy's grandfather. And Zach Smith was on on Florida's staff with Urban Meyer as a grad assistant, and then he found his way to Ohio State. Zach Smith had some history of domestic abuse in 2009.
Even at Florida.
So Ohio State and Urban Meyer apparently knowingly hired him after this domestic abuse in the past at Ohio State when he got hired. It's a really murky situation, and the biggest problem is that at the end of the day, it's Zach Smith's ex-wife, her word versus Urban Meyer's, and I mean really Zach Smith's. Zach Smith has been pretty quiet about it.
Well, and there was the ESPN
What ended up happening is that what ended up happening was that Ohio State put Urban Meyer on leave. You probably all know this. You probably have tuned out by now, but if you guys haven't, he went on administrative leave. They did an investigation, and ho-hum, surprisingly enough, Ohio State did not decide to fire Urban Meyer. Instead, they decided to suspend him for just 3 games. So it is a murky situation. It is a situation where Ohio State is very, very much in the firing line, the firing squad for a lot of media, and a lot of people were not happy with the suspension news. So.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Here's the bottom line for me is, if Urban Meyer knew about abuse for a decade of a woman, and one of his 3 core values is respect women, then he is an absolute liar and a fraud, and like that. I mean, I don't think there's anything lower than abusing your power in such a way that you hit a woman. And I don't think,
yeah.
And then to let that happen, and you're teaching young men, and especially that, Zach Smith has been in charge of wide receivers for a decade and leading them, when he's buying $3,200 of toys and sending them to office and having relations with multiple women in the office while being married and doing all of these things, and you're just allowing that into your locker room for winning. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's
Urban Meyer again tried to cover up his steps again today when he tweeted more like sincere apologies. It's so hard.
Well, and also
to know,
it's
so hard to know if he actually knew, or if
there was
there's
also
a
the
potential
breaking
situation.
news that there was also the news a couple days ago that he had asked how to delete text messages off of his phone, like records from a year ago. That was asked, and like that was also caught. So he obviously knew. He was trying to cover his tracks.
I don't know. My natural instinct is it's tough to know if he knew. It's really hard to know because
his
wife
knew about the
knew
abuse
about
or knew about what?
Knew about the abuse.
You're
like how serious it actually was. No, let me talk. As a coach of a program like Ohio State, with how much has been going on lately, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Urban Meyer tells his wife or tells his staff or tells anyone to say, "Don't tell me about anything that you know that happens." I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
That
at
is
all.
a terrible way to lead. I mean, like, it's your wife, and like.
But I'm just saying, if I was a coach, that would be a smart thing to do.
I don't know. I don't know. That seems ludicrous. I don't know. I think just he should be fired because he didn't report it. Yeah.
Based off the text, the wife doesn't seem to know the actual like how far the abuse was going.
I mean, she was sending pictures of bruises.
Yeah, I know, but based off like the text, it just seems
like multiple police reports.
No, I know, I agree.
Like neighbors are calling. She's calling. She gets a restraining order.
I'm assuming it seems like what happened. I'm just speculating at this point. It seemed like what happened is that Urban probably talked to him in 2015 and said, "This is your final. If anything ever happens again, you're done."
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm assuming what happened. He probably addressed the situation personally with him back then, and then once he broke his restraining order, then instantly he was done. But then that's when everybody started going back into looking at this 2015 stuff about whether or not Urban could have possibly known.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I think you're right on that. I think you're right on. I mean, I get it. Like, you know, I don't know. But if he was causing, like, that kind of mayhem in your office.
Right.
That's what I'm, like, all that other stuff, like, just outside the abuse. Like, what company doesn't fire you if you're ordering and, like, sleeping with multiple people in your workplace? Like, not outside, like, literally in your office.
I don't know. It's just so hard to know what he actually knew about.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know. It's clearly Ohio State knew because it got reported.
And, like, there were reports that this woman was, like reporting. The police didn't show up sometimes because they thought she was lying because she called so often. So we don't know if she was actually lying or because the police literally legitimately did not show up sometimes because they just thought she was another boy who cried wolf situation.
I don't know in that situation. Maybe
so that's just crazy. I don't know.
I'm not gonna say she wasn't. I don't know. But like I said, if all of this stuff is true, then man, he should be fired. Because like Ohio State also has a zero tolerance policy,
right?
Which.
So what do you think is going to happen in the future? I guess we don't have to debate ourselves. Do you think the NCAA is going to pick it up?
I don't know. I've never been one to be really impressed with the NCAA's punishment system or its system in general. I don't know. They do some. No, they do a lot. They do a lot of shade. I mean, they want to keep their business going. You know. So I don't think so. I think they should. I don't know.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we knew Cam Newton got paid, no punishment. You know, like, right. I think this one's far. I mean, that's not even the same. It's potatoes and oranges, but I don't know. It's a really sad situation, and I don't know. Just the fact that like respect women's in the locker room and jazz on the wall is just kind of hypocritical. Yeah. At the least, it's upsetting, and obviously, this is gonna carry around with Urban Meyer, whether or not he coaches forever. And like, it's the sad thing is, he's such a great coach, but like this at forever just ruins it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I did read a report earlier today that like talked about that one of the parts of the report was that Zach Smith went to a strip club. In 2014 with a high school coach and another Ohio State coach in Florida while on a recruiting trip. Geez. They said that potentially the NCAA, I don't think they actually would be able to investigate without like an actual NCAA violation.
Gotcha, but if they can use that one violation.
But if they can use that one as a potential instance to get into the investigation, then possibly that could be an instance where they could actually dig up the truth.
And then bring the hammer down. So yeah, that's interesting.
Exactly.
I thought.
So then you could like,
yeah,
it could be a way in to potentially figure out how because right, I don't think the NCAA legally could investigate this because it's not under
unless
their
it's a title that it's brought up as a Title IX issue.
Title IX, yeah, exactly.
It'd be under that umbrella is the only way that they could bring it in. So, but yes, if they could bring in that it's a recruiting violation and then recur other violations. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I agree. Like, in the article, they also said that, like, the NCAA, like, said that head coaches are responsible for the staff members and whatever to report certain things. So, like, potentially they could use these as NCAA violations. So, there is a chance the NCAA could pick this up and investigate on their own, which would be really, really interesting. Absolutely, really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I hope that like I said, if this is all true, that, Smith receives the justice that she deserves or whatnot.
Yeah, no, for
Which
sure.
I mean,
we could.
the evidence is looking pretty shady.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I guess we can leave it at that for now. We'll probably talk about this again if there's more.
Yeah, I mean, more
news on it.
will come out. I don't think the final chapter is closed on this.
Yeah, no.
Sad on this really sad topic, to be honest.
Right. So we got about 10 minutes left in the podcast. So we are going to do our random question of the week, which this week is just a very simple would you rather. This is just made for fun. I hope you guys still enjoy this one. So let me know what you guys think about this. Obviously, there's a lot to discuss here. The question is, would you rather always be able to see 5 minutes into the future or always be able to see 100 years into the future? So you can only see 100 years in the future, or you can only see 5 minutes into the future. I think it's really interesting.
Wait.
Caleb, what do you think, Caleb?
So I can't see what's happening now?
Like you can't foresee anything besides the 100 years in the future. So you can only see August 24th, 2118.
Yeah.
Or you can see 5 minutes into the future all the time.
I honestly think I would rather want to see 100 years in the future, because at the least you get a really cool futuristic novel out there, and you're gonna hit it spot on. I mean, you're gonna know exactly what's gonna happen in the future.
So you're gonna write 1984, but you're gonna write 2118.
Exactly.
And it's gonna be like the new 1984, and you're gonna nail every single aspect of what the world's like.
Yeah, and everybody's gonna be like, "Wow, this is really crazy," and then everybody's like, "Wow, he was right."
But
and then I write the next.
What's
great
weird
American
about
novel.
seeing into the future is like, do you affect the future by what you do now? Or like, does the 100 years in the future already assume that you already saw into the future?
I'm sure it did, because you're seeing the future. It's not it's not one of the movie things where
you can change the future by what you do in the present.
Affect the future, all that. So what you're doing really affects. So that's what.
So, but I mean, does that mean what you are seeing is already what you're going to do? So, like, if you see,
I'm not saying. I mean, we're 100 years, so there's no way we'd see ourselves, but we just see what the future.
No, yeah, but you could potentially see your kids.
That's true.
Maybe.
True. Or your grandkids or great.
I mean,
great
we're in our 20s, so you could probably see our kids. Like maybe you have a young kid when you're like, maybe you have a kid when you're 30.
I guess
32.
They'd be like 70 years old and they're
70
twilight.
years old. Yeah, but I think I'd rather see 5 minutes in the future, because
what would you use with 5 minutes in the future, Josh?
think about like all of the amazing things you could do with it though. Like whether it's combat sports or like you'd be the best gambler ever. You'd be the best fighter ever.
I don't know about fighter because it's 5 minutes in the future, unless you see the whole 5 minutes.
But you see exactly how the fight. You see how the whole fight plays out.
Poker though makes sense because you see your hand 5 minutes in the future.
Every hand you'd see.
All right, like I get your point there.
So you'd literally be guaranteed rich. You'd be the best gambler ever.
I guess curiosity just kills the cat for me. I really would want to know what happened 100 years in the future.
Think about 5 minutes. Every surprise would be ruined, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're watching the Super Bowl. You're like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? You always know what's gonna happen.
You just go
That'd be kind of
use
annoying.
your magic see into the future.
Oh, I might be reasoning myself out of it.
I don't know. 100 years in the future.
See, but you can't benefit from anything from 100 years in the future, except for like
a book,
getting ideas for like books or movies, I guess,
or just the excitement of like I just want to know what happens. Like you'd be learning.
Maybe you could invent the new technology before it comes out.
Oh, that's a good idea. You propel the future forward with your ideas.
Yeah,
or you know what to
exactly.
Or you tell your children, or like say a company comes out and it's really small. You can just put your money in it.
Maybe investments.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, you would definitely secure your family's future.
Yeah.
Not yours.
Exactly.
For the most part.
Well, unless your book or movie takes off.
But in this, I guess when you're in this like world where you're only seeing one day at a time in the future, that's so weird. How does that work? Do you like dream the future? Is that how that works? Like when you go to bed, that's how you see it?
You see the future every night? I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. When you go to bed, you see the future.
I don't know.
And you live that day, that future day, when you sleep.
It's very fascinating.
That'd be really interesting.
That'd be really cool. Or maybe like you get on your computer and like the internet pops up, but it's 100 years in the future.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, I could see that. What if it was only like accessible by like a phone or like technology? So like you figured out how to tap into the future so you could like watch it live.
That'd be pretty fun. I'm just saying, I want 100 years.
I don't know. The 5 minutes, you'd be dang rich with the 5 minutes in the future.
That's
true.
True.
You would be so rich.
I mean,
it would ruin literally every surprise.
Horse races would be really useful.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, you would be the best gambler ever. It would be so easy.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Like every surprise would be ruined. But like, think about what else do you like find out about something? Game shows, you'd be so good.
Oh,
Jeopardy, you'd win Jeopardy every time.
Dude, yeah, here on our 82nd consecutive week,
you would never go off Jeopardy.
And again with the final question correct. It'd be hilarious.
See, now that'd be really funny.
Josh has again selected our daily double. Yes, I'd like to select a true daily double.
Certain, like,
Alex.
Oh yeah, like chess. Oh, you'd be the best chess player ever. You'd always know what the next person's gonna do every second.
I guess they both have their.
There's
benefits.
a lot of really fun things with the 5 minutes in the future, but it would be really boring.
Yeah.
Because you'd always be like, "Oh, I know what's gonna happen. I know."
Well, Josh, this has been a fun first podcast.
It has. Hopefully, it's been successful.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast because we were hoping to do this for a long, long time.
Yeah. And eventually, we'll get to talk about the week's games and stuff that we saw, Heisman races, all the college football things.
We'll have like segments and really cool intros and stuff.
Yeah,
but right now it's pretty basic.
Yeah, it's just the calm before the storm and excitement of football season as new ideas arrive. But
yeah,
we did it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Joshy, you want to sign us off?
Oh, yeah. This has been the first episode of the Backseat Sports Podcast covering Big Ten football, a lot of football action, college football in general, and it's been really good so far. I'm Josh. That is Caleb. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next podcast episode. Adios.
Peace out.